Hey everyone, it's Aiden from Adventuron. A couple months ago I bought myself a new fridge and I've been super stoked with it. So in this video I'm going to tell you all about it. Alrighty, so in this video I'm going to go over why I chose the upright fridge over a chest fridge, why I chose the Bushman's over any of the other brands once I decided that I wanted to go with the upright fridge, and I'll give you an overview of all the features of this fridge and then a quick rundown of how I installed it. So this is an unbiased review. I ordered it off the website like anyone else, and actually on that note, it came really quick. It came in like under a week, so I was really stoked with that. So basically the decision for me to pick the upright over the chest fridge came down to four things: price, weight, usability, and the overall size. Previously, you may have seen we've had a really old Engel chest fridge. So that was going to be my comparison point. If I was going to get a chest fridge, it was probably going to be Engel because we were really happy with the way that performed. So the price of a similar capacity Engel fridge was about $1,600, which is almost a third of the price on top of what I paid for this. So that's a massive factor out of the gate. Next up is the weight. The Engel 60 litre chest fridge is 33 kilos. And really, to use a chest fridge properly in the back of a wagon, you need to have it on a slide, and ideally a drop-down slide. So I was looking into the Clearview drop-down slides, and they're 37 kilos. I'm not even going to mention the price that you'd have to add for that too. Meanwhile here, the Bushman's is 19 kilos. You open the door, everything's easy access, which leads me on to the next pro for the Bushman's, which is just usability. The amount of times that we had to pull everything out of the chest fridge just to find something in the bottom was just an absolute nuisance. And with the Bushman's, most of the time it's you open the door and the thing's a quick grab away and it's done, you close it back up again. So the last thing that sort of won me over for going with an upright fridge was the size and the dimensions of it. The upright fridges tend to travel upwards to gain their capacity rather than lengthways like the chest fridges. So I've actually been able to gain some space for more storage behind it. So what are the cons of buying an upright fridge? For me, there really wasn't many. The first one you sort of come across when you're looking it up is that cold air sinks. So people's argument is that with a chest fridge, the way that's designed, when you open the lid, the cold air is going to stay down and not escape as quickly. So you get a more efficient sort of run time, and your fridge isn't going to try and always have to cool itself back down. And when you open the door on the upright fridge, it all pulls out or something like that. But I do agree with this, like I guess it makes sense. But sort of going back to what I said before is ease of use. I've only got to whip this door open for 2 seconds, grab something, close it again. Think about how much air is going to come out when you're unpacking your whole chest fridge just to get to something at the bottom. You're taking heaps of time with the lid open. So I know that con was kind of debunked for me. So the only other con that I can come across with an upright fridge is that it's a bit more of a permanent install. The chest fridges are designed to be picked up out of the car, moved around a bit more easily, whereas this, it's sort of a fix it in and leave it sort of set up. It's designed to be in caravans and canopies. Again, with my car, it's dedicated to trips and that sort of thing. I've got another car as a daily driver, so not an issue for me. I was happy to have a permanent fixture in the vehicle. So that kind of rounds up the pros and cons of the upright fridge compared to the chest fridges. And now I'm going to talk about why I chose the Bushman's fridge over any of the other brands. Again, I'll start with price. The divide isn't quite as big as the chest versus upright comparison here, but the Bushman's was still beating the other upright fridges by $100 to sort of $200-300. The main one I compared it to was the Dometic upright fridge, and I just found the Bushman's gave you a bit more bang for the buck. So the 60 litre Dometic fridge is almost identical in dimensions to the Bushman's fridge, but it's a 60 litre and the Bushman's is a 65 litre. So somehow they've got a bit of a slimmer design. You get a little bit more literage for the same size package. So that was a big factor for me. The next one is the compressors that they run. Dometic run their own in-house compressor. And from all reports, it's really good and it's super, super efficient, but it just hasn't been on the market as long as the compressor that the Bushman's is running. So I just wanted to go with something that was a bit more tried and tested. And the final factor of picking the Bushman's was simply aesthetic. Like the matte black finish looks wicked. And I just like the appearance over the Dometic and the other brands on offer. Alrighty, so with no further ado, the actual fridge I chose, which is the Bushman's 65 litre. I rented the 65 litre purely for sort of height restraints. It was super close. I might have been able to squeeze it, but I didn't really want to risk it. I feel like if you didn't have the drawers, or if you had a drawer system that was built up maybe over this side and you had the full height, then by all means go the 85. But for me, I think the 65 is just going to be enough. So it looks good. How's the build quality? From my perspective, it's all pretty good. The handle here is plastic, and it sort of appears a bit too flexy straight off the bat, but hasn't proven any issues thus far, and it works every time, and you only have to sort of gently close it and it latches up just fine. This handle is actually reversible. I left it as is, but I've seen plenty of people where they've moved this across and changed the hinge point to the other side. All right, getting into the fridge. I've got the fridge packed up for a little weekend away, so hopefully you guys can see sort of how you can arrange it and how much things you can fit in it. You have to be a little bit more strategic with the way you pack it so that things aren't just getting tossed around. But we've decided to use a big container for sort of vegetables down the bottom, and just make sure drawers are sort of full of things, so they're not sliding side to side. And we haven't had any issues with it. We've done some four-wheel drive tracks on the previous trips and it's been fine. So the shelves are removable if you wanted to take them out and gain a little bit more height. The thing I found when I first got it was that they were rattling around and making a bunch of noise, but that was a pretty easy solve, and we just took them out and sort of flexed them out that way. Now there's just like no play side to side. The freezer's a handy little feature. It looks tiny, but it's actually, again, pretty deceiving. You can fit a whole box of icy poles or a handful of pies in there. Been loving that. So in the door, they've got these kind of handy little sliders that you can move side to side, which just make sure you grip the bottles and that sort of thing in tight so they're not going to move around. Really liked that. So as far as power goes, I find it pretty comparable to the rest. When it's on full tilt, I've just turned it on and it's trying to cool itself down. It uses about 3 amps draw. And when it's at temperature and it's just sort of coming on periodically to keep itself topped up, it uses about 1 amp an hour. It's been absolutely wicked. The compressor's super quiet. You almost don't even know when it's on, so there's just no complaints. We've been loving it. So for the installation, it's obviously a bit more involved than just throwing it in the back of the car with some ratchet straps, although probably could do that. I decided to install it permanently. I didn't film the process, probably should have, but man, it took me long enough to make it as it was. I wasn't going to try and film it as well. So I've got some photos. I'm just going to walk you through how I did it and flash them up on the screen. There's probably better ways of going about it, but if it gives you some ideas, hell. So I wanted to make it really light, and I chose to use aluminium, and I was joining it together with L brackets and rivets. I mounted it to the extrusion that Bushman's provides you around the front of the fridge, and then I also had points connecting underneath where the compressor bolts into the back of the fridge. I wanted the fridge to be able to breathe, so I put a wire mesh section at the back over the compressor, and then I filled the rest in with 13mm ply and some carpet over the top of that. The 13mm ply is going to be really handy down the track, so I'll be able to mount small things to the sides and the top. I haven't really worked that out yet, but at least the option's there to do so. I then bolted the fridge down to the slide top of my drawers, and I've left some room on the wiring so that the fridge can get pushed out on the slide and it won't bind up. So this has been my review of the Bushman's 65 litre fridge. I've noticed these upright fridges are getting increasingly popular, but I haven't seen a heap of people having them in wagons, at least on YouTube yet. So hopefully this helps a few of you guys out. I think if you get one of these, you're not going to be disappointed. Anyway, that's enough from me. I'll catch you guys in the next one.